Afghanistan war veteran and co-founder of No One Left Behind, Matt Zeller. He's worked to support Afghans who helped the U.S. for years, urging the Biden administration to do more to help those workers in the region. Matt, thank you for being with us. I know that you are frustrated, you are angry. There are a lot of emotions that you're feeling. As you are communicating with people in Kabul, what are you hearing?
Chaos. Absolute chaos. Pandemonium. There is tens of thousands of people who have surrounded the airport, desperate to get in. There are Taliban checkpoints within 100 meters of U.S. Marines, and you're right, they're beating people in the crowds. I had a friend in the crowd last night who got beaten by Taliban soldiers with chains, and the Americans just have to stand there and do nothing. They have to stand there and watch it. The Americans are being forced to use tear gas, to fire warning shots. You know, by the way, every time I hear those gunfire go off, all I can think of is those bullets have to come down somewhere. People could be inadvertently getting killed just by that gunfire. This is the exact chaotic evacuation and exit that the Biden administration was warned about and that they were desperate to avoid. So here's what they need to do. They need to expand the perimeter at the airport. It's clear that this isn't working. We need to reopen air bases like Bagram, where we can more effectively move people. We need to start opening up air bases all throughout the rest of Afghanistan, because what you're only talking about is Kabul. Your reporter mentioned that there's some 80,000 people that might be able to go. What she's talking about is the Afghan interpreters and their families who we're tracking, who have already registered for visas, some of whom are being notified that they have flights, but they're in cities like Herat and Mazar-e-Sharif and Kandahar, which are completely controlled by the Taliban.
And Matt, I mean, this is your personal story that an Afghan interpreter saved your life when you were serving there in 2008, I believe. And it was so interesting to hear former senior advisor to President Trump, Stephen Miller, last night say the U.S. doesn't owe these people anything. Listen to him.
The United States of America never, ever made a promise, written or unwritten, to the people of Afghanistan that if after 20 years they were unable to secure their own country, that we would take them to ours.
What do you say to that?
That man has been my personal nemesis now for almost 8 years. I've been fighting him since he was Jeff Sessions' Senate staffer. As far as I'm concerned, he personally is as complicit as the Taliban in these people's deaths. He should be held accountable for war crimes. He spent the entirety of the Trump administration purposely trying to prevent these people from coming here. I've had meetings with him and his ilk. I brought the interpreter who saved my life to some of those meetings. We met with a lady by the name of Andrea Loving. She's the deputy counsel for the House Judiciary Committee for the GOP. Janice and I were sitting in a meeting with her. She is Stephen's counterpart at the time in Congress. And we were debating about whether or not Congress should allocate more visas for these people. She then articulated what his platform was. I pointed to Janice and I said, you know, this is a gentleman who saved my life. Maybe you've just never had a chance to meet an Afghan. And so it helped to put a face to these people's names. And they looked at me and they said, you're doing nothing but letting Islamic fundamentalist terrorists into our country, and it's our job to stop you. Wrong. These are our people. There is no us and them. There's just an us. And you know what? Stephen Miller never wore a uniform a day in his life. He's a privileged little brat. He ought to be held for war crimes. I can't stand that man. I can't believe that you're even giving him any more airtime. That's the reason why that guy's views continue to get publicized, is because the media keeps putting him out there. That guy doesn't represent America. He represents the worst of us. What's going on right now, however, is the best of us. I'm currently involved with a massive airlift planning operation from my living room. There are veterans all over the country who are organizing a digital Dunkirk. We are not getting any sleep. We are determined to see our people get out, and we're not going to rest until we do it effectively and efficiently, and most importantly, until we take them all. But people like Stephen Miller need to just sit down and shut up, because he has been part of the problem for too long.
Matt, you've given some suggestions about how to expand this operation. I know that you have been waving your arms in front of this administration since the beginning, since January. Have you gotten a response? And do you expect that there will be this expansion?
We're hoping to have a meeting soon with the administration, and what we're going to be pushing for is exactly that. We have a beachhead in Kabul. It's not a very effective beachhead, as we can clearly see. There are scenes of chaos at the airport. What we need is for the U.S. military to then expand that perimeter so that it's more effective for people to be able to get in. We need to basically tell the Taliban that they need to shut down their checkpoints in the city because they're actively taking people's passports. I've had U.S. citizens who have had their U.S. passports taken from them, their green cards taken from them. Afghans are having their documentation stolen from them by the Taliban in an attempt to prevent them from being able to even get into the airbase. So enough of this. We're the United States military. We have the most powerful military on the planet. We should use it for good. We should establish a humanitarian corridor in Kabul and provide safe passage for whoever needs to get to the airport for as long as this takes. And the only person who can do that is the President of the United States. So I really hope somebody who works for him or himself is watching, because that's what we need. He's the one person who can save these people's lives.
Matt, you've shared with us some video. I want to show everyone. This is at the airport. I mean, just heartbreaking scene after heartbreaking scene, but this one is particularly gripping. It's people passing their children away from themselves and up to the front of the line, I assume, to save these babies and these children. What's happening in this video?
So that was taken by a relative of mine. That was at the North Gate at the airport in Kabul, and exactly what you're seeing. People are so desperate to get away from the Taliban, and I mean, as a parent, I can't believe that that's what they're having to do. That they're just handing their children off to complete strangers, and bucket brigade style, they're passing them to the front of the line in the hopes that they might be able to convince the U.S. military to at least take their kids. I don't think we need any other argument than that. These people have no future in Afghanistan. Stephen Miller is wrong. We made them a promise. People like him have been spending the last 4 years of the Trump administration purposely trying to prevent these people from getting here. And I want to go on one more point about this, because this is critical. The reason why all these people are stuck in Afghanistan right now is because the visa program that was created to get them here, it was purposely shut down by the Trump administration for the last 4 years. Now, the Obama administration has plenty to blame on that. They were not an effective processor of it for the first 4 years that they held office. But the latter 4 years of the Obama administration, its second term, they actually got the program functioning pretty well. The Trump administration came in and purposely destroyed it. The reason why all these Afghans were stuck in Afghanistan for as long as they were in the first place is because those people made sure they couldn't get out. As I said before, they're as complicit as the Taliban are in these people's deaths.
Matt, we hear you. I mean, does the United States want to stand as the land of broken promises for people when we go into their countries and ask for their help and they save lives as they saved yours? Matt Zeller, thank you for your service. Thank you for all you're doing now. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.